It seems like right now, integrity doesn't exist in our culture by the people who are supposed to be modeling it. And people don't trust anybody. They don't trust any of them. They don't trust the politicians. They don't trust. It's like the trust is at an all-time low. So if we look at how
Yeah.
life fills voids, what is the likely void that's going to come in and or what is going to come in to fill in that void that's been created by the lack of trust?
So I think you're gonna like we're seeing like massive instability in like every industry, right? And then from there it reorganizes and something else arises. I don't.
So it's just going to have to reorganize altogether because
Yeah,
the
but
system's done.
yeah, but there's going to be massive instability, and like the more you try to run the old playbook, right? The more you accuse someone of being a conspiracy theorist now, like the more people actually want to go read their book now.
It's like calling somebody a racist. It just
Yeah.
the word has lost all its meaning.
Right? Like it wasn't until last year where I'm like, I don't give a about the Facebook reviews or the Yelp reviews or Google reviews. Right before I'm like, oh, I don't want to get a negative review. Now there's like a term like there's Karens, right? So if someone writes a negative review, and like granted, like you have to actually like have your shit together, right? But if I'm doing like what I'm supposed to do, and I'm true to like whatever it is, and then people leave me a negative review, for every like one person that maybe won't come to my business, which I can't really imagine it, I'll actually get a lot of people that will resonate with whatever that person is bitching about. They'll actually see it for what it is and actually like trust me more. It's like negative reviews almost have like the opposite effect now. If it's done from someone that's just trying to cancel you or complain.
And is that due to the response
I think it's
that you have?
literally the shifting like.
Or you get to see, or they just see the ridiculousness in the complaint?
Yeah, I don't think that wouldn't have been the case. Like I didn't feel that way 4 or 5 years ago, but now like like if I'm doing something that again to me is like fair and right, and then someone complains about it, I actually relate to it as a positive, and that was only starting last year. I never felt that way before. It used to be like you want to be politically correct, you don't want to offend anyone, right? Like you don't want to. And now just I post whatever. Like,
That hasn't been a problem in my business.
Yeah, but it's completely
People appreciate
shifted,
authenticity because
Yeah.
there's so much fakeness. I mean, just turn
Yeah.
on the news. It looks fake. It sounds fake.
Yeah, you should try it. Get a negative review. No, I'm not.
Well,
no,
I agree
you don't
with
go
what
out
you're
looking
saying.
For it. You don't go
agree-
out looking for it.
I do agree
Yeah.
with what you're saying because years ago I had someone put a negative review about us,
Yeah.
and the person never came into our office, and I was so pissed
Yeah.
because this person actually they did. They came in for the first visit where we could do the exam and consult, but they never came in to receive any care, and they said how our care was a fraud. They were all just tore it all up.
Yeah.
And I'm like, the person never freaking got worked
Yeah.
on. How could they judge the quality of care when they never received the they received zero care?
Yeah.
We didn't even get to that point.
So if you got that same review now, and let's just say like a person went and looked at it, they'd be like, this person just a Karen, right? And
Right.
it will actually make them more curious and try it out. Like I think that is a very recent thing where like negative reviews, it's like it just like completely flipped. You
So
know?
now it's not even a concern.
Don't
Yeah.
you think people would come to your rescue? No, it's to help my
Because you can almost like
tweak
you
or
can
something.
almost like you can almost feel like what it is that pissed that person off, and lots of time what pissed that person off is because the owner has some like balls or some like
They
some,
they
they
stood
have
up
some
for
principles
something.
that like they believed in and like follow through on, and like you
Right.
can feel it despite all the negative like nasty stuff they write. Like you know what, I would actually want to try out the business.
Actually, I think if I remember what it was the woman was a lesbian, and I didn't know that. And I said, make sure you bring your husband on your next visit so that he can see why you're coming in and support you. And then she got, butthurt. But she says, well, what if it's not a husband? What if it's a woman? And then she got like all worked up. I was like, I don't care who it is. Whatever you shack up with, a lot of people will see value in bringing them with them on the next time you come in so they can see why you're coming in and encourage you through the processes. And anytime they understand what you're doing more, they have an opportunity to support you. That's really what it's about. But I didn't have the opportunity to say that because I didn't know that she was that upset. I didn't think it was needed until I saw the review.
Yeah.
So what you're saying is that it doesn't matter if they leave you a negative review.
No.
And sometimes a negative review is better than no review at all. Because
Yeah, I mean-
they're going to connect with someone and motivate someone to come in, even if it's
And what's funny is like I've been like joking around about this for like a year and a half now. I'm trying to get canceled. I'm like hunting for negative reviews. Like
Kuang says any
Yeah.
attention is better than
Yeah.
no
No,
attention.
no, I'm like joking
He would
about it,
hate to
right?
be another nobody. Just talk about him, good or
Literally,
bad. He
it's
doesn't
All
care.
publicity is
Yeah.
good publicity.
All of
But it's like whatever you think the threshold of whatever you could say is, you could just go further and further and further, and people almost like get desensitized to it, right?
and they see that you stand
Yeah.
for something,
yeah,
and
Or-
they feel safe with that
yeah,
because they trust it.
Those rules might apply to other people, but when like you don't actually really relate to those as rules that apply to you, it's like you operate by a different set of rules. Like Trump is like a genius at doing that. I don't even know if he's consciously doing it.
I don't think he's
that's how he-
consciously
No, we
doing it.
don't.
I think it comes
Yeah.
effortless.
You guys know like Russell Brand?
Yeah.
Right, so you can look this
I
up
watch
on
his
YouTube. It's
podcast,
amazing. Like, so one, he's really smart, but for a while he would go on interviews and he would just try to make out with the girl that's interviewing him, right? Just trying to make out. It's like, oh, let's just start shagging now. And then sometimes it's him being interviewed, and there's like two hosts that are like, oh, Russell, you're so silly. Like there was one where he picked up this pregnant lady. It's like, we're gonna go to the back and shag now. And he just picked her up, and she's like, oh, like they're like, oh, this is so funny. Like anyone else did that, would have got canceled. But when Russell Brand does it, he's just being Russell. Like you don't have to operate by those rules.
So he actually functioned under a different set of rules
Yeah,
that he
and-
created for himself.
Yeah, and like and for him, right?
So it's
I'm
almost
gonna-
expected.
Yeah, I'm almost gonna like imagine like for him, he's really really smart. So it's not like he doesn't know those rules. It's just he's focused on something else, and then when you do that, people literally buy into your reality. You go on a show, you try to pick up, you try to make out.
I got to work out a little bit first. I've been told I'm not in the condition that I once was.
You'll get the negative. They would cancel your business. Russell Brand does it. He's just charismatic, and he's what's the word they use for?
But he owns it.
Yeah,
Like when he does it, like he just he's there.
congruence.
Yeah,
Full
total
congruence.
congruency, and you can tell that
Yeah.
that he approaching it from the traditional perspective wouldn't even fly because
Yeah.
it's just so ridiculous. It's in a different box
Yeah,
altogether.
yeah, and for me, what I realized is part of that is like just like the more I talk about it, I'm like very vocal on what I talk about and the stuff I post, right? Stuff that used to like piss people off, they literally just see it. I know they read it. They don't even, like I would think like the more I push, at some point they're gonna cancel me. They just accept that that's just what I am. And funny enough, they can like vehemently disagree with me, but then they'll still like want to be my friends. It's almost like it's just like weird reality where if you just stick to your guns, you're not there to offend people. You're just following your belief. People will actually conform and accept that like you're strongly opinionated. They don't agree with you, but they're not going to cancel you.
Or the few that do would be so minuscule that it's not even an issue. You'll probably recruit
Yeah.
more
I can't even think of one.
more
which is a crazy
respect
thing.
and trust than the few
Yeah,
that
so
you're
if you
going to
asked me
polarize.
2 years ago, I would have been like, okay, well, maybe like 40% will just disown me. The 20% will disagree with me, but kind of like hang around. The
Now it's
other
single
40%,
digits, likely.
It's completely different. Yeah. You just
Kuang, I feel like you just gave me permission
yes.
to open up and just
Yes.
start calling it more as
Yeah.
I see it.
I
And
see it
then
in
if they resonate with it, great. If they
I
don't,
see,
fuck
well,
them.
like, I see it in your office too, right? People will say some stuff, and like I know you, right? And you have to like come up with a politically correct answer. You don't do it. So when you're nice,
I don't even like
you're
the
gonna have
word.
yeah, exactly. Because when you're nice, you're trying to not offend. You're trying to follow some set of rules, right?
Right.
You can literally offend someone, but the place you're coming from is kindness. Okay.
I have that experience a lot.
When that's a place you're coming
People
from,
get offended at my stuff all the time.
let the chips fall wherever they may. Because kindness doesn't depend on the other person's response. It's literally what is fueling you and what's driving you. And then you're authentic and honest, and you don't have to placate to people that go to your practice. And if they leave, which way less of them will leave than you think, other people that fit whatever it is that you're resonating with will come. Like COVID was the best thing that ever happened in the gym. And especially like last June when the whole George Floyd thing, I'm like, fuck this. I'm not gonna use my business to do anything with the virtue signaling. I'm not gonna commentate on it. People were like, why didn't you commentate on it? I'm like, I'm a gym. You already know my personal beliefs. It's on my personal page, and I'm just not gonna like placate to that. And there's some people that complain. One girl left a negative review, took it down like a week later, and then we got way more members, and the atmosphere is way better, the culture is way better. You know,
When you didn't post
yeah,
your
because
point of view, or when you
people
did?
resonate with that, and I actually get feedback like, you know what, I'm so glad, like I'm so like I respect you guys for not actually like jumping in on a bandwagon where everyone was posting that stuff. Or Greg Glassman, the guy that created CrossFit, he made some like comment, and then everyone was like, we denounce what Greg Glassman said. We're going to unaffiliate and all this stuff. I'm like, listen, I'm not going to do any of that stuff. And people actually appreciated that. You only need however many people at your practice. You don't need everyone to agree with you. Just be the way that you think is right, and those people will actually appreciate it.
Amen.
Like having a like this. Again, this is stereotyping. This lady walks in, you're like, oh gosh, she's gonna bitch about whatever, and then you having to be politically correct and then placate her for 40 minutes while she's sitting on your table and not offend her. That's terrible.
You're just reinforcing those shitty beliefs.
Did
That's
this happen?
terrible.
It sounds like there was a
That's
scenario
terrible.
that I'm not aware of.
I've heard a few. I mean, they're not that bad, right? But like, I imagine you have a range. But like, what I noticed is like for you, right? You're always trying to be more politically correct, and you hint at it, but I don't think a lot of them pick it up. You know, I'm like, hey, listen, I don't believe in that. You know, like, this is why I don't believe in it. And what are you gonna do? Write you a negative review that gets you more clients? You know,
What I do is
watch him get canceled.
yeah, like son of a bitch.
Delete this.
I did what he said. It didn't work out.
I never said
Asshole.
Now we're at 7-Eleven.
Kuang, I need you to come in today. There's nobody coming in. Asshole.
No, it's so freeing. It's so freeing because you're like your beliefs as like a person is aligned with like how you run your business. Like you don't have to actually worry about the business and then like not being able to fully express yourself. I don't think this was available 3 years ago. It's definitely available now.
I'm taking this in, Kuang. I'm listening to what
I've
you're
been
saying. I
doing it
like
since
it.
I started.
You know,
Because I've been
I
passive
don't care
aggressive about it.
because I want people that want to do business. They understand
Yeah.
that I'm going to drop lots of f-bombs,
Yeah.
and if somebody's being a pussy, I'm going to go, "You're being a fucking pussy, dude." I'm going to be real with them,
Yeah.
and so I have a lot of times I start a phone session with a guy. He's like, "Coach, I want you to tell me if you think I'm being a pussy. I want you to tell me. Everybody in my life is just blowing sunshine up my ass."
Well, they trust that.
Yeah, and that's
Yeah.
why they come to me because they know
Yeah.
I'm going to be real with them. And if people are like, "Oh, I don't like the way he talks. He says f all the time." Don't hire me. There's millions of YouTube channels you can follow. You don't need
Yeah.
to follow me.
And
I don't want to coach you anyways if that's your attitude.
Yeah, and the best thing is if you can provide value, like that's the most important. You know, like I think a lot of people now are getting exposed. Like it's just valueless jobs. We talk about like real estate agents, and like in what universe do you get to just show a few homes and then you're entitled to 3%? The lending officer, that's a separate job. You're just referring them to that. You just show a few homes.
There's a
You
lot
fill out
more to it than
Huh?
that. There's a lot more to it than
But
that.
3%.
I never
For
use
like
realtors
home
when I buy
prices?
Because
property.
you're dealing
Everybody
with
and your mother's
you're
a
dealing with
realtor.
phone calls
I
from people
never
that
use
waste your
them.
time. They can't buy. You have to go through all the pre-qualification. You still got your
But the
overhead,
other-
your cell phone. You got to advertise. You got to do all this.
Yeah,
things.
but for a
So-
$400,000 house, that's $12,000.
Yeah,
for a
but you don't
house.
see the other 20 transactions that went nowhere and that you spent all your time on
But $12,000.
and your gas. Yep.
Most of those functions, so we already have like Facebook Marketplace, right? Like, so MLS is only available to real estate agents, right? It's and what I'm trying to get at is the function of real estate agents right now, they're essentially a middleman, right? And you're buying a house, you take out a mortgage, that loan is punted out to 30 years into the future. You're going to slowly pay it over time. There's going to be inflation, so the purchase value is way less, right? So the leasing agent gets a cut, the real estate agent gets a cut, and it's like, oh, your monthly payment's only going to go up. It's only going to be like $50 a month, part of your monthly payment. Oh, that's nothing, right? But like most of that can actually already be replaced by technology. It just hasn't been in real estate, right? We have like eBay's been around forever, Facebook Marketplace, and there's like all these like specific things for like clothing, for whatever, that you can already match a buyer and a seller, right? And then what a real estate agent should do in that case, if the technology is there, is to be almost like an advisor. And the advisor is like, hey, this is the stuff to look for, this is stuff to worry about.
They're doing the same with cars.
Yeah, like Carvana, but 3%, 3%
It's a
for
lot. $500,000 house.
that is insane. And it's a set percentage, no matter how much the house costs. So like $1 million house, 30 grand. That's they're not like, again. I don't think they're providing enough value to justify that. That's a teacher's salary. They had to deal with kids a whole year. They're shaping like the future of
Yeah, but it's
young
not
people's
30,
lives.
30 G's in profit. You're ignoring all the overhead or what it took to even generate that particular lead. Like, I mean, Mike used to do all our advertising. I was spending 50 G's a month. Our office, we had 10,000 square foot office. That was like 20 grand a month. All the phone lines, that's $2,000-$4,000 a month. You got
but it's not
15
that-
girls upstairs that are the loan processors.
So
Somebody's got to
rather than-
order the home inspection and the survey and make sure the title is clear on it and do all those little things. But like I said, then on top of that, you're answering phone calls. You go through maybe 100 phone calls of people that you're trying to pre-qualify, see if they can even buy anything. And then out of 100, you might get 3 or 4 that actually convert. So you spend a lot of time that's just wasted. Plus, you drive around town and show 15, 20 properties to somebody that never fucking buys anything.
Most of what you just said, it can be replaced by technology. You can look through things virtually. You can see all the videos. They show all the, you know what I mean? Like you can do a 3D
Anybody that
tour
buys
of any
a
room.
property sight unseen is a fucking idiot.
My
Because there's a chance you buy a property and, you know, whether you're buying something in the courthouse steps, if you're an investor, it's, you know, you're not getting clear title when you buy those things. So if you buy something that's got a, you know, maybe somebody died in the chain of title and then you're going after heirs and you have to go through a court I mean, some of those things might take a year or two to clear.
my
And
business
if
owner,
you've got your money sitting in it, you can't move it, you can't sell it. If you got a loan on it,
my business partner is a real estate agent, killing it. And it's just like I never thought of it this way. So you're constantly getting new members. It's leads. It's a very like close knit community. I've seen him basically help someone buy a home, sell that same home, buy another home, sell it, buy another one, like buy and sell like 3 times with like the same couple. And there's like constantly, he doesn't do anything. Well, he won't watch this. He doesn't do anything to generate leads. Just he's a part owner of a gym, hangs out there, makes friends, coaches like a few classes.
where do his leads come from?
From the gym,
And from
then-
his
So that's his
personal
lead
relationships.
generation.
yeah. And then
So they're
once-
buying a relationship with him. That's what they're paying
And
for.
then once they
because they trust him and they like him.
yeah, and then once they use them and they like them, then they refer them
Yeah.
to their
Mhm.
friends. It's a crazy shit, and it went from he was doing okay.
It might
just
look
took
like
off,
nothing to you, but I had guys that worked for me that I hired. I could give them a great lead for
Yeah.
a $300,000 sale. The loan in the real estate's easy, 20G.
Yeah.
20 G's in commissions, and he's going to get 40% of that because we gave him the lead. And you give that dude 5 of those leads, he'll be lucky if he closes 1. Whereas you give an Andy those same 5 leads, he's going to close all 5 of them.
But
Just because it's the
Right,
you know the
but- okay.
skill set, the people skills. Not everybody can do that job.
I agree that
Or running a gym.
I
How
agree.
many people run a CrossFit gym successfully, and how many of them go out of business?
right. So I agree that it takes skills and work. What I'm saying is the skills and work it takes is to fulfill the job of a middleman that could easily be replaced by just technology right now. Like easily.
How's the technology going to replace the home inspection or finding
Hmm.
out that there's termites in the attic or it's a frame house?
the home
and it's all
inspection,
eaten
but
up.
that's the home inspection.
yeah, a real estate agent doesn't do that.
I'm talking
I'm
about
with
real
you.
estate
Then who-
agents.
okay,
The
so
survey, the
say
real
then you
estate
got to
agent
get the
doesn't do that
repairs
either.
done. Who
Yeah.
makes sure that the repairs are done properly?
That's not the real estate.
It's not
agent's
the real
job.
estate. And again,
Absolutely, it's a
I'm-
real estate. If that's his listing, he's got to make sure that shit gets done because you might have the homeowner doesn't
No,
doesn't
okay.
even
he
own a
wants
hammer.
to get it done
If
because he
lists
wants
the
his
home and
money.
I'm the real
Yeah.
estate agent. I'll be
Somebody's
like,
got to manage
yeah,
that.
I
though.
would recommend that he spends his money to get the repairs done, so we can list it at a better price and get fair market value.
And
So
how do you
that's
know
my-
that he hired somebody that did the repairs competently?
Okay, and how many real estate agents are actually that good where they can actually handle that adequately?
He just doesn't want the deal to close.
Well, you got to understand, most of the people in real estate,
Yeah.
are the weekend warrior types. They go out and they get their real estate license, and they might get 1 or 2 listings a year, and that's all they got.
Yeah.
And those people, I agree, they ain't doing shit. But the people that, as he would say, the movers and shakers that are having several closings a month, they're busting their fucking ass. They're getting after it. And there's a lot of work involved in getting a transaction from the person calling you to where you're sitting at the closing, and then you walk out of there with your check.
So Corey, you're
not
aware
every-
of technology. So how much, and you're in the real estate industry for a long time, how much of what a realtor typically does do you think can be done through technology?
Well, really, it's just because the talk with blockchain technology is that what the title agent does is you get chain of title, and so what they're saying is that with the blockchain, you can take that place to where maybe you just have your little cell phone, you put in the address or whatever, and you got an app, and you can do your closing through the app. But there's all kinds of expenses. You look at the HUD statement, all these little fees. You got title insurance, you got owner's title policy, you got the seller's
Those
title
are more
policy, you got
middlemen.
all
Those fees are more middlemen.
Well, they go to the
Getting money.
government. You got the government that's getting their cut and all those fees.
Yeah, those are all
You got to
middlemen.
make sure
Middlemen.
that the taxes get paid if they haven't been paid, and somebody's got to do all that stuff.
Not for $12,000. I mean,
And like, and they're not okay. Like, the value there, and this is my complaint with the legal system, right? So we have the set of laws that's supposed to govern us, and we literally need to hire a $300 an hour interpreter to define words that we all know what they mean, but in the court of law, what they mean. Like what the hell? Like how are the laws so complicated that we need to hire an interpreter, lawyers, to actually tell us what the law means?
and you can't go to court. People say you're stupid to go to court
So
without.
lawyers are valuable because the system is overly complex.